All right. Post Heat Celtics. TD, I feel bad for you. You look like a fool. You said there's
Why?
no way the Heat are losing Game 7. You said that. You look like a fool. But now I got to get on you too, though. You've missed a bunch of episodes, and here you are to gloat. Nowhere to be found when the Heat go down, and now they pull out this win, and here you are to gloat. So both of you got egg on your face. But the question, so I'm going to break this two ways. First, who are we giving the most credit to? Why the Heat won? And then who deserves the most blame for why the Celtics lost? So we'll start. Who gets the most credit for the Heat's win? Now, since it's your team, I'll let you go first.
All right, sounds good. There is a lot of credit to give out to the roster because of how much of a team effort it really was. The guys that showed up each game was amazing. We saw guys that nobody really knew a lot about show up in these games one at a time, but ultimately Caleb Martin was the one that stood out to me as the guy who gets the most credit. We saw what Jimmy did. I mean, his postseason numbers dropped off just a little bit, around 25, 7, and 6. Almost 3 steals a game over 40 minutes is pretty impressive. But what I saw from Caleb Martin, the rebounding late in the games was almost Wiggins like last year in the playoffs, just like standing out as that one guy on a small roster that really needed to stand out and rebound and play above the rim. The hustle plays, the efficiency from shooting was just unbelievable. I could not believe shooting 49% from 3, 60% from the field, almost 90% from the line, just the reckless aggression that we saw. I always knew he was a reckless athlete, but seeing what he did like in this playoffs just showed how much of a havoc wrecker he was. Like, and there's just so much credit to give to him for that.
Yep.
In my opinion, defense very similar to what I saw from Oladipo last year in the Atlanta series. Like, just a guy who wreaked havoc. He was able to like speed up the game a little bit. But yeah, what I saw from Caleb Martin was all the credit goes to him. But
all right,
incredible team effort.
He's your guy. And TD, man, you got to apologize to Jimmy Buckets, TD. You got to apologize to the Heat.
Well, first of all, you say I have egg on my face.
Yeah, big time.
I picked the Heat at the beginning of the series. You picked the Celtics, by the way.
Yeah. So
all right.
you switched.
All right.
You switched. What are you
okay? All right.
You switched.
Okay.
You said they had you made a definition. They had no chance in Game 7. That was an idiotic statement. That was an idiotic statement.
Zav, I just wanted history being made. Now to answer
the question. Not a matter of what, it's your pick. It's your actual pick.
And you picked the Celtics, and I picked the Heat.
You said the phrase, they have no chance in Game 7. Just admit that was dumb. Just admit that was a dumb thing to say.
I'm not taking that from someone whose pick was wrong. And you're saying I have egg on my face.
Just admit you said a dumb thing.
Either way.
All right. Get to the question then. That's fine.
Tell me the question again.
Who gets the most credit for the Heat? The biggest reason they won.
The biggest reason the Heat won were the injuries to Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo. That was the secret reason why the Heat won this series. Now let me size it up for you. The Heat this year in the season, they weren't that great a team, Zav and Niles. They were 500 or 537, 44 and 38. They were 27th in the league in three-point shooting. They're a bad three-point shooting team. They shot 34%. They're a bad field goal percentage team too. They're 26 in the league. They're 46%. So what the Heat are, we're a 500 team who are terrible at threes and terrible at field goal percentage. Now, who played a lot in the regular season? He had Tyler Hero, who was playing all the time. He started every single game. He played something like 32 minutes a game, 34 minutes a game, and he started all 67 games. He shot 37% from 3, 43% from the field. He's a streaky guy. He's hit or miss. He's not a high field goal percentage guy. Oladipo, too. He played a lot. He's a 39% field goal percentage. You know Oladipo. He's hit or miss, hot and cold, 33% from 3. Now, because they got injured, who'd that open the door for? The 3 guys, like Niles, one of them, that completely changed the series. It gave more minutes to Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, and Duncan Robinson. And those guys were absolutely lethal at the things the Heat were bad at. They hit 53 threes, and they got more minutes than ever. Caleb Martin, 35 minutes a game. Vincent, 34 minutes a game. Robinson, 18. They shot 48%, 51%, and 48% from three. That was the difference. This is not the Heat. The Heat are a poor three-point shooting team. I think Spo just missed how good these guys were. And the luck, not lucky that they got injury, but the happenstance of the injury happened to put these three guys into the series. And that totally made the Heat a team that they weren't. So I think those three guys getting increased minutes and drilling their threes at a near 50% rate, hitting 53 of them during the series, was the biggest reason that the Heat won this series.
All right, now let's jump in there. I know you disagree. You're going to tell us about Heat culture, and no matter what, they were going to win. Let's hear it.
I think no matter what they thought they were going to win, the flow, it was the confidence that goes throughout the culture of the Heat and the coaching staff and the players. I don't think he exactly forgot about the value of Duncan Robinson. There are certain series where Duncan Robinson is unplayable. And I think he will not really play I don't think he's going to play as much personally in this Denver finals matchup because of his size. I think you can attack his attackability. You can attack him on defense, get him into foul trouble, going downhill. Those aren't his strengths. Against a team like Boston that switches everything and the way they were guarding, like it was easy for him to kind of get into those situations and get
All right,
3 points.
Niles, let me put it this way. Do the Heat win this series without the 53 3 points made by Martin, Vincent, and Robinson at 50% clip? They don't win this series. You admit that.
Oh.
Okay.
No, but I'm saying even with my point is with Oladipo and Hero, I think Robinson still would have played in this series.
Oladipo would have sat. You're saying he would have sat, Niles?
No. I think Robinson would have played in this series regardless of the injuries. Because I think they would have shifted the rotation to where obviously Hero is going to start. I don't know as much about how much Vincent may have played or Lowry's minutes go down slightly.
Miles, Martin and Vincent got 10 more minutes a game than usual. My argument is there's no way Hero and Oladipo put up that production at that clip. And I think if it wasn't for the injuries, they're running those guys out there. And I don't think the Heat win this series.
Yeah. Martin's production goes down. I don't know about the outcome, but I definitely think the roles would have been changed. But it's all about the confidence that goes through every person in the locker room. We talked about at the beginning of the series where Jimmy's always been very hard on Max Strus. He's always yelling at him, shoot the ball, put the ball on the floor. Like, you can do things besides just be a spot-up shooter. Like, he's always flowing confidence through each player in the roster to just play their roles, be who they are, like, show them like that they're capable of doing what they want to do. And that's been the case with Caleb Martin. I've been seeing him play all year, but he wasn't scoring this aggressively, like at least.
You know why? Because he was on the bench for Hero and Oladipo. That's why.
He did start some games, but yeah, I mean, his role was not to score, which is part of the point. Now he's pretty much playing a combination of Hero and Oladipo's role now because of how well he's played and obviously because of the injuries. But yeah, I mean, the outcome would have been.
Hey, you know what would be interesting? You know what would be interesting? If Hero is fit for the finals to see how much time he gets.
He's been shooting. He'll be back. We'll see. Yeah, it is a good call, TD. That is a good. And I liked your answer, TD, because I actually, I mean, it's hard. We'll never know for 100%, but it does make a lot of sense. My answer is somewhat similar to TD's, and the reason that he won is their owner, Mickey Arison. You know why? Because he's been there since 95, and he has a staff. Spo's been there since 95. Pat Riley's been there since 95 when he faxed his resignation to the Knicks. Andy Ellsberg has been there since the 80s. He's been their GM since 2013. The point is, these guys we're talking about, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, other teams don't have these undrafted players. They don't have them. You look at who the Knicks draft year after year. You look at who all the bust in the NBA draft, teams go for athletes. They go for NBA bodies. They go for size, for athleticism. These guys were the difference in this series. We could all three of us agree. We've just said that. And the point is, they're basketball players. They're not NBA body prospects. These guys in the soft zone, they can play their defense. They move the ball, and more than anything, they hit shots. They hit shots that look at the Knicks. Their number 3 pick, RJ Barrett. He can't shoot like any of these guys. Boy, that would have been valuable. You've just got guys, and I don't know why NBA players, when you watch college basketball, there's so many good guys who just get passed up because they're not NBA bodies. These guys, undrafted, but they could come in and walk into a shot and hit it, but they could also
and they can hold themselves on defense.
Exactly.
Too.
They're not liability. So that I give it to that foundation of the Heat who really know ball. And that's why the Heat always quote unquote overachieve, is because they have the confidence to go with real ball players instead of a bunch of NBA bodies and constantly moving coaches and different GMs. Look at the Knicks. The Knicks GM, they didn't match his offer. They're going to have a new GM next year who's going to feel pressure to pick. All these other teams are like that. They just go for the flash instead of and that's where I give the Heat a lot of credit. And that was the difference. We all talked about how the Celtics are more quote unquote talented, but at the end of the day, the Heat had ball players. And in game 7, you saw it, the biggest, I agree, in the head, that I agree, comes from leadership, it comes from the coach, but these guys are ballers. You can't take it away from them. So that's my answer. So,
all right.
Yep. All right. Anyone?
Shout out to J. Cole for the call to get Caleb Martin to Miami.
I agree. And listen, he's been the best. He was the best player in the series.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's true. I mean, you can say though that the most important person is always the head of the snake.
Yeah.
I mean, you can technically always say that. Like we can say who in the Celtics is to blame. We can blame the Celtics, whatever, for not drafting the right players or that. But I think you are right to single them out for credit now, because no other team would even think about having these guys. And that is their unique edge. So I think that's fair.
All right, let's go to it. The blame on the Boston Celtics. Now's who you're going to give that dirty rock to. Who deserves? Now they all deserve blame. We could talk about the coach.
Yeah.
We can talk about who are you giving that rock to? Who deserves it more than anybody?
Originally I was going to say the coaching staff, but I'm going to give the blame individually to Jaylen Brown. Obviously all the pressure was down on him. As much as I feel empathy for what just how much pressure laid on him and how he was not able to go through it. And the media interview that he gave a couple of days ago after the game, you could just see how brought down he was from that game. Like he was really down on himself. But I mean, regardless of that and all the emotions, he had 8 turnovers. He lost his dribble on about 6 of those plays. Missed multiple jump shots, missed multiple layups. The ball just bounced out of his left hand. He really had nothing going on. He had nothing on a string with his left hand the whole game. I don't know exactly off the top of my head about what he finished point-wise, but it was a very rough game for him. And when Tatum went down early with ankle injury, 19 points. Wow.
One of 9 from the 3-point line. 1 of 9 from downtown.
No, it was the turnovers too.
Yeah.
Is like 8 turnovers. That kills.
Second most turnovers in a game 7 in NBA history behind James Harden in Houston, who had 13, I believe. Or no, it was against San Antonio in the playoffs. But yeah, it was just a very disappointing game from Jaylen Brown. He ran into that zone. I wanted to get into that zone defense that Miami had, because it's not a traditional 2-3. It's a very athletic zone where everybody's kind of flying around, just covering who's in front of them. It's a lot. It's a lot to throw around, and they throw a 2-2-1 press full court, and it really threw off the Celtics' ability to get the ball up court. And it's something that I've talked about personally for a long time. The Celtics absolutely desperately need a point guard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Marcus Smart is a good guard, combo guard, defensive do-it-all guy, but he cannot be your starting point guard in the playoffs, and he doesn't get them good enough shots. And then too much of the responsibility goes to Tatum and Brown to handle the ball. And they're both 6'8", so they dribble the ball very high. And it's against a team like Miami that's scrappy. They're going to continue to run into that problem unless they can figure out the ball handling situation. And that creates better shots, and that's where they don't shoot 42 3-pointers and hit 9 of them in a game 7. They get baskets to the rim. Similar to the Houston thing, we've talked about this whole for a while now, the Houston Rockets game 7 blow up where they lost Chris Paul. Yes, Houston Rockets missed so many threes, 27 in a row, but
If
Chris
you're
Paul
changing
not being
is
could
you
not
go
get a
with
good
lack
shot.
of point guard, Niles, or you still sticking with Jalen
Yeah.
Brown though?
Jalen Brown, my point was Jalen Brown needed to step up as the point guard in this game 7 because nobody else could handle the ball well enough. Brogdon had a forearm injury, and Tatum was injured, and he did not get anybody else good enough shots. He didn't get his own good shots, and that's the reason. That's the biggest blame in that game was they just could not get good enough shots.
Fair answer,
Yeah.
Niles. Well explained, TD. What's your biggest culprit from a
Well,
Celtics point of
I
view?
just want to add on to what Niles was saying.
So you're also going with Jalen Brown.
No. I just want to comment before I get to my point. I agree with Smart, but the Celtics' strength, and I don't think you want to move from this. I think you want to double down on it, is their defense.
I agree.
And he's a central cog in that. So, yes, you would gain on offense, but you would lose at the only thing as a team you excel at, which is defense. That's the only thing the Celtics excel at. And I think they should have ridden their defense more. So it's a really tough decision with the Celtics. But then again,
I mean, the games weren't high scoring. Celtics defense was pretty solid throughout the
Not the
playoffs.
last
They
game.
just couldn't-
Not the last game.
yeah, but then
that
again,
was a large part of their offense too.
well,
I
then
think
again, to your point though, Niles, if the Celtics had Jalen Brunson, they're probably winning a ring this year.
Yeah.
If they had him to close games and that type of player, all
That's
right. But
what
my
we-
blame,
Yeah.
falls on the only person it should fall on. It's the NBA. It's a league of stars. There's only so much a coach can do. Falls on Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, I said before the series, this team will go as far as Tatum takes them, and he did not take them far enough. He was really disappointing in that game 7. But overall in the series, I just don't think, but let me put it this way. When he plays well, the Celtics just click. When we saw him in that game 6, when he was driving, bringing people in, kicking out for open threes, the Celtics succeed. When they have open threes created by his drives, they succeed. When he goes to the free throw line, he's lethal. He shot 46 of 51 free throws from the line. He was automatic. He got 51 points from the free throw line, automatic. But he just doesn't have the basketball IQ, or the drive and just the dog and fight to do it for a whole series. For example, he led the whole series in turnovers. We were just talking about how bad Brown's turnovers were in game 7. Tatum led the entire series, both teams in turnovers, and he led them in 3 points taken. He took 47 threes and he shot 23%. He was abysmal from 3. He turned the ball over. And I think if he was just the guy he's supposed to be, back-to-back All-NBA first team, I think the Celtics win this series, if he's that guy. Yeah, you put blame on Mazzulla, but as the leader in the NBA, you got to just pull your team together and say, guys, move the ball, move it, let me drive. And there was just no leadership on this team, no vocal. You know, you watch the Warriors play. They're screaming all the time. Draymond is directing people. There's nothing from that on these Celtics. Mazzulla,
His lack of communication.
yeah, there's no leadership on the Celtics. So, you know, I could point this so many ways. You could point it on Mazzulla, who is clueless. I mean, the way they opened that game 7, taking bad threes, shows that they don't have an offensive identity. If you want to be a three-point shooting team,
needs a point guard. Every
Yeah,
championship team needs a point guard.
yeah, but if you want to be a three-point shooting team, like evidently he wants them to be, Dude, go watch the Warriors on how to get open threes. You work around it. They have good 3-point shooters, but they're not good enough to hit spot up threes with someone in their face. They need to be wide open after ball movement. There was just no offensive game plan for that. But it really does come down to there's just no leadership to enact any of that. And I think if Tatum was just a different personality, more of a vocal leader that took the mantle of these games, I think the Celtics could have won this series. So I think his inability to take his game and maintain it at a high level is why the Celtics didn't make it this far. He's two-time All-NBA, back to back. Who more can you point to than that?
I'll explain, TD. When the Heat won Game 6, what did you tell me about Jason Tatum? What did you tell me?
I was about to go back to that.
What did you say about Tatum? What are the Celtics?
Oh yeah. What did I say?
What?
I said he did what he usually does, which is kind of float in and out, disappear in the fourth, turn it over in the fourth, brick threes in the fourth. But in the second quarter, he was responsible for getting that 10-point lead, which won them the game, essentially. He's got to do more of that.
He is the seesaw of the series. Tatum is the seesaw of the series.
I
I've been
agree.
saying it since the beginning of the series. When he plays well,
I agree.
the Celtics win basketball games. Plays poorly and closes games out poorly, the Celtics tend to lose those games most of the time.
Now,
I agree. No, Zav, I said he won them the game with that burst.
But you also talked about how they are a team, the Celtics. You said they are a team and they all have their roles. Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
Now, I think we all agree leadership is lacking on the Celtics, and that's why you could say they lost. But here's where it falls to Jaylen Brown, because I'll give you Tatum as 1A, Brown is 1B. And TD, you just said it. The Celtics are a defensive team. They are a defensive team. When they came back in this series, they played great on the defensive end. They moved their feet on defense, and Horford and Williams were beast inside. And their offense was off the chart bad on Game 7. We all agree. But what I didn't like was instead of just, listen, Tatum hurt his ankle, it is what it is. They should have kept their defense intensity up. They weren't getting up on the Heat on the screens. They weren't nowhere close. The Heat were abysmal in Game 6 in the paint. And Horford and Williams were great. And they lost. I truly believe.
And Zab, you know why they lost it? Who are they attacking to get the lead that won the game? Tatum.
Yep, you're missing. My point is, if they had kept up that defensive intensity and brought it the way they should have in Game 7, I think it would have been a game. They might not have won without Tatum, who knows, but they would have been in the game. Home court, who knows? Jaylen Brown's a good defender. And not only did he not bring his defensive game, he was a negative on offense. He wasn't getting steals, but 8 turnovers, 1 for 9 from 3-point range. It's just too bad of a performance from an all-NBA player to give it to Tatum. Now, and the whole series, I agree with you. About Tatum. Everything you said about leadership, Tatum leading, taking it by the horns, I agree. But it came down in Game 7, and I expected more out of the defensive end. And Brown, it was his job TD, we've always talked about, we've both said we think Brown is better than Tatum. We've both said that. That was his opportunity to take the game by the reins. And he whiffed on it so badly that leadership is the reason the Celtics are who they are. We can have a whole other podcast on the Celtics, what I want to do, but if we have to give it to one guy, it's Jaylen Brown. But I think we're all in agreement about the Celtics' flaw. They can't close games. They don't have that leadership, and it's glaringly bad. It's glaringly bad.
And listen, Zaf, we're all saying the players, but I mean, we gotta knock Missoula.
And TD, you were big. Let's give Niles a shot. Niles, because we both knocked Missoula easily. Niles, you agree with us with knocking Missoula?
Yeah, on the outside, I feel like he deserves a lot of this blame because I haven't loved any of his exit interviews really very much. They've been very short answered, kind of moody in a way. And I think I think we talked about this before. I just feel like with guys who are known for doing that, like Popovich or other coaches around the league who have done this in the past, like they've done something. They've had like accolades to an extent. Joe Mazzulla is a rookie coach. We expect him to give better answers to the media come playoff time. And I expect him to be a better communicator with his team. When it comes to the shot selection, I mean, there's got to be a time where you just say, come on, 42 threes, they're not
It
going
was
in.
shocking
You
how
got
bad
to stop.
it was.
Well, that's
Um,
game planning though. And then the worst thing is after they ask, "Do you take too many threes?" And he just goes, "No," which to me is just the guy's out of his depth. He's out of his depth. Everyone knows it, and I can't think of any reason why you'd want to keep him. Like, what does he bring to the table? Niles, they don't have an offensive identity. They
It's
have no identity on offense. None.
all I'll say, and I agree with 100%. Both of you, you know that it's unforgivable the way he just let it go, where they just shot bad shot after bad shot, and he did nothing. The only thing I'll say about their offense, I think it feeds off their defense. When they play defense, Smart and Brown get steals. When you get steals, you get fast break points, and the basket opens up. And so, yeah. All right. So we're all pretty much in agreement, just different angles of looking at it. So I want to do tomorrow. Let me know if you guys, I got to do this with the Celtics about the Jaylen Brown contract situation. That's got to be a contact. That's got to be, do they re-sign him to a max deal or not? And then another one we got to do is we got to preview the finals, our picks. So
I'm down.
Let's do it tomorrow. All right, guys. Good stuff.
All right. Take it easy,
all right,
boys.
guys.
Take it easy.